Welcome back to the channel. PoE 2 is out, fellas. Oh my god, I'm loving it. It's so good. Okay, I've been waiting years for this game, right? Like an ARPG that's actually amazing. Couple of tips, right? I know a lot of people, I've heard it a million times. Path of Exile, oh my god, it's such a difficult game. It's really not. It's actually really not. When you look at the passive skill tree, it's super imposing. It's not that imposing, guys. Like, I mean, yes, it is imposing, but it just gives you options, all right? It's like back in the day, you go to the store and you're like, oh, I want to buy something. What do I want to buy? And you have like a million options. And you kind of lose the forest through the trees. However, not such a big deal. You can just respec. That's one of the tips we're going to give you. We'll get to that. But first of all, my biggest tip for me, use WASD, right? I turned it off right now, but in the options, you can use WASD, which makes you run around twin stick style, right? Your character looks and will shoot, right? Where your mouse is looking, no matter which way you are going. You will always be pointed the direction of your mouse. Most importantly, you can easily just attack while walking backwards, right? Or walking sideways or in any direction. Now, you can actually do this in the mouse and in the mouse mode as well. But here's the thing. Let's say if you're going forward, all of this is super easy, right? But I have to go backwards. So every time I go backwards, I constantly have to change the mouse. I have to go click back and then look again. Click back, look again. Click back, look again. And if you're just holding down your attacks, sometimes you'll shoot the wrong way, right? Because your mouse is here trying to move backwards. So you'll shoot in the direction of your mouse, regardless whether it's WASD or not. That being said, if you play on WASD already, you can just keep firing, no matter what. Your mouse is always on the enemy. You can go in any which direction, any freedom. You have all of the freedom. So if you're not like me, right? I've been playing ARPGs since Diablo 1, which is, you know, older than most of you people. Probably most of you that watch this probably are. For me, even for me, the WASD feels much better, much smoother, much nicer. I highly recommend using WASD. The second tip that I will give, which is also a really... Again, if you're come from older ARPGs, this is kind of not the way you do it normally. Like, check the vendors. Like, actually check the vendors, right? Look what they have. Like this one, I bought this one. It was better than what I had. Do not be afraid to buy an item that you think like, oh, this will actually be, you know, kind of decent compared to what you have. Because the game is difficult, alright? It might be slightly overtuned. I don't want to really speak out on that. But it will kick your ass if you slack on gear. So always check the vendors. Every time you go into town, check the vendor. If there's something you want, don't be afraid to buy it. Will you find something better? Eventually, yes. But that's not... That might be literally the next 5 minutes, or it might be 5 hours later. Alright? Like, you cannot control that. Check... If you're in trouble, check the vendors. And I feel like you should, every time you go into town, check the vendors. Tip 3, technically, that's also combined with tip 2. You may have already seen it. If you hold control and click on the vendor, it automatically opens the buy or sell window. You don't have to like click on it and then click on buy or sell. You just control click, it opens up, double tap escape, you're good. The one exception, or two exceptions technically, the one exception is the disenchant person. If you click the person that has disenchant, it'll open up the disenchant and not the buy and sell. Be wary of that. If you want to get money for it, then do it that way. Otherwise, do it the other way. Now, I picked up some random magic items because the hooded guy also has a click. Except because he only IDs your items, he'll automatically, if you control click, automatically identify your items. Normally I'm not sure why this stayed open. Normally it doesn't even stay open. As you can tell now, these items were automatically identified. So I want to sell these. You can just click sell them here, or you want to disenchant them, right? Go here. Option tip 4, I think. I lost track already, sorry. Tip 4. Any item with a socket is worth something. These things are sockets. Any item, whether it be white or whatever. If you go to the salvage bench, let me just make sure I don't want to... No, okay. I don't want to salvage the wrong item. If you salvage an item with sockets, it'll give you these artificer shards. A stack of 10 of those turns into an orb, and if you hold your alt button here and scroll over, this will add a rune socket to a martial weapon or armor. You can just add rune sockets, and then add the runes in there for resistances. Resistances are insanely good and mandatory in any ARPG ever. If you have minus 10% lightning resistance, you'll be taking 10% more damage from lightning. And that is not a good thing at all, right? You need resistances. You need resistances badly. The reason I have minus 10% is because Act 2 already decreases all of the resistances that you have by 10%. So technically I have 0% resistance, but because we're in Act 2, it's minus 10%. Alright, so, and that's only gonna get worse. So you really wanna make sure that you salvage any socketed item that you find. It'll be like the item, if it drops and there's a socket on it, there'll be this item, like for example the salvage bins. Let's assume that's an item, and there'll be like a little square box behind it. Maybe even two. Two is what you want, because those are two sockets. Pick that up no matter what item it is. If it's something you don't use, even better than if it's something you use, because you'll salvage it, you'll get the artificer shard, they'll turn into orbs, and then you can just use the orb, stick a socket on any item that you want. Perfect. Super, super handy. Tip 5 or 6. I'm gonna say 5. Also rolls into that. Path of Exile is a crafting-centered game, really. Only at super late game will you try and find, oh, I want X unique, or I want X rare with X amount of things on it. And even then, you're probably just gonna craft it. So all of these currency items, I bought a currency stash tab. If you have the money to spend, buy a currency stash. Oh my god, it's so good. Because all of this is basically like 2 entire rows of my stash. You know, more room. Don't spend money if you can't afford it. Don't obviously. But all of these items are used and actually used. Like, you're not gonna just craft an item and it'll be garbage, right? I mean, obviously, a lot of the time, because a lot of these are random modifiers, you'll not get what you want. But that comes with the territory of playing an ARPG, right? We've all been there. Unless you're new, in that case, welcome. Welcome to the grind, right? So it is actually a craft-centered game. Pick everything up that you think will have a use, salvage everything, disenchant everything. When you disenchant, you gain these type of things. Augmentations, I believe. Well, actually, you get transmutations. You get these shards, and then the transmutation will upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 modifier. So if you have a white item, you pop one of these on it, plop, it turns into a magic item. Hopefully, you'll get what you want. If not, no harm lost. Find the next white item, right? I would say they'll drop enough, but I feel like the loot is a little bit undertuned right now, so that'll get buffed or worked out, right? It's still early access, like it's day 3, guys. We'll be fine. Don't go too nuts yet. So white items, ironically, are super important, right? If I find a white scepter, fantastic, because I can improve that, and I can hope that I get a better one than the one I have, right? There's even an item, I think it's this one, yeah, the chance shards. They become orbs of chance, and I thought I had one. Here we go. The orb of chance will unpredictably upgrade a normal item to unique, or simply destroy it. But it's a white item. If it gets destroyed, who cares, right? So Losing the orb sucks, obviously, but because these aren't that obviously these aren't that they're fairly rare from what I've seen. Tip 6. Respec at the hooded one. You can refund your passives at the hooded one. If you click on it, refund passives, you can tell this is my build. I can click this, click this, click this. It costs as much as your not as much. It's the cost per skill. It's always 332 from you can see like right 5 skills. If I do all of these, it's all of these skills are all 332 gold. The reason for that is because my level. The higher level you are, the more that's going to cost. So far, I've respected 12 points on my mercenary at level 30. It was about 500 gold per point, which obviously that's like 6k then. I had at the time 32,000, and I was only playing mercenary at the time. I have 3 characters now. So it's like the money costs is fairly reasonably priced. I have had no problems with that. So don't be afraid to try out again. Like I said in the beginning, don't be afraid to try out some stuff. If you don't like it, just respec it for money. It's not real money. It's in-game gold. You just find it now, unlike PoE 1, where that was only in the later ladder where you could find gold and respec for gold. So it's reasonably priced. It's actually a really good system. No problems respecing so far. What I would also include in this tip, even though it's a respec tip, there's a search button here. Let's say you want minion skills. Just type in minion, and you'll see all of the minion skills will be highlighted. They'll like glow, right? And then you can see, oh, do I want this one? Maybe not. Okay, we're not going there. Do I want this one? Oh yeah, I want that one. How do I get there? Always, if you can use highways to get there, right? The highways is the attribute points. You click for you can do strength, dexterity, intelligence. Those will get you somewhere faster than going through the entire, right? Because like for example, go away. So this one here, let's say I want to get to this one, right? I could follow here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bad example. It's because I'm already here, right? Because I needed this one. Bad example. But you get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying. So use highways to get to a place, like to a cluster that you want to get to, and then grab the cluster. Don't go like through a million things, because obviously you don't have a million points. Tip number whatever. Do all of the quests. All of these quests that pop up, all of these people that you can talk to, do them all. A lot of them give you like, yeah, here's a level 1 support gem for the 50th time, right? Whatever. But some of them give you like really nice things. You can get extra specialization points, which is super fucking important. Extra passive points is, I cannot stress enough how good that is. You also can get spirit points. I'm a witch, so I already have spirit points. But if you're any other character, for example, a mercenary, does not have spirit points, but you do have like spirit gems. In this case, my raging spirit is a spirit gem. To use this, it reserves 30 spirit, right? Because this is like, it's essentially like a passive. But to make it on, you need 30 spirit. And you can get 30 spirit by doing a quest in Act 1. There's a quest in Act 2, I think, as well, that gives you spirit, etc. So do all of the quests. That spirit will help. It really will. Super handy. And then the last tip I have for you guys is something that might get patched. I'm not entirely sure yet. As you can see, I have a portal standing here. But I can't click on it, and it doesn't tell me where it goes. Now, this portal is actually standing in the Ascendancy Trial. In the Ascendancy Trial treasure room. I found this out by accident. When you do an Ascendancy Trial, let me quickly go to the Ascendancy. So when you do one of these trials, right, they're actually meant, you go through them, and then at the end of it, you pick your Ascendancy, which is, in essence, like, think of it like a specialization class, right? So instead of a witch, I will be an infernalist. So it gives you extra, you get like a little on your passive tree. you'll see this thing right here, right? This opens up into another, like a bunch of nodes that you can use depending on what class for Ascendancy you took. However, when you do these things, you go through like a little gauntlet of trials, and you can collect bronze keys, silver keys, gold keys. At the end, in the treasure room, obviously the name says it itself, there's a bunch of treasures that you can open. If you open all the treasures and you pick up all the loot and then you teleport out without clicking the Ascendancy, you can just talk to Balbala. There will be a button here that'll say retry trials or do trials again, etc. And she'll give you back this little thing like here. And you can just literally click it back in. Boom. And you can run through it again. I did this already. I have done this trial. But because I teleported out of the treasure room before I clicked the Ascendancy trial, it didn't count. So I can now do this again. And I can get the treasure from the treasure room again. Right? It's not really like a, oh my god, what a tip. Because obviously, right, it depends. Do you want to do this a couple of times, or do you just want to do it once, get the Ascendancy, and then move on, right? I kind of wanted to do it a couple of times, just to see what kind of treasure I can get out of those gold keys, because I don't actually... I think no one knows what can drop out of that, right? So I wanted to do it a couple of times on my first character, but I once you do it once, and you use your Ascendancy, you clicked on the thing, then you cannot get back in here until maybe late game. So if that is a... It's more of like a... Oh, it'd be nice to know, like, oh, okay, I could do it again. Okay, like, do I want to get some... Do I want to grind a little bit here and get some loot? Yes or no? If no, move on. If yes, then you know that this is like a thing that you can actually do. Like, just go through the trials, grab all of the loot, obviously, and then before using the Ascendancy, do not use it. Just teleport out of the room. And then as you could see, I cannot get back in here. I couldn't get back into the teleport because it's in a room that is actually not available anymore. I'm not sure how that exactly works. Like I said, I've discovered this by accident because I completely forgot to press the Ascendancy. Because I was already inclined to believe that I wouldn't be able to get back in there. So, which is why it says here, use the altar of Ascendancy to choose your Ascendancy, because I've completed this already, but I forgot to click it before I left, and you cannot get back in. But, upside, I can get back in, and I can do the entire trials again. Anyway, those are my beginner's tips. I hope they help. Seriously, if you're thinking about trying this game, but you're like, oh my god, the passive tree looks so scary, and everyone tells me this game is like super hard. It's really not, alright? It's like any other game. Is there a learning curve? Obviously, right? You're not jumping into a World of Warcraft, for example, for your first time, and you won't have any idea what's going on. You know what I mean? So yes, there's gonna be a learning curve, but the learning curve is much less than people make it out to be. Like, this is definitely, and even if you don't, the other, sorry, the other critique that I hear is like, oh, you have to know life it, people, I don't have the time for this, blah blah blah. That's absolute nonsense. All right, right now in early access, the only characters you can make are standard characters. There's no league going on. This standard character will be a standard character forever. All right, whether I play it an hour a day or as I have been 15 hours a day. All right, the character will not change. The character will not go away. You can put an hour a day into this game and still have an amazing amount of fun. Like, there is no reason not to play this game, especially 6 months from now when it's free. But it is the best ARPG I have played so far. I would give it an 8 out of 10. 9 out of 10 if I fix the party bugs. I am absolutely in love, so to speak. And it's been a long time since I've been this crazy about a game, right? So I highly recommend you guys try it out at least, especially in 6 months when it goes free. But if you have the $30 to spend, I would personally, I highly endorse spending it on this. That's gonna be it for me, guys. I hope the tips helped. Thank you so much. See you next time. Peace!